There's a political shift happening in major cities, and it's not subtle anymore. In New York, figures like Zoran Mamdani are pushing policies that move beyond emergency support into something more permanent: publicly backed grocery access, expanded subsidies, and a growing belief that cities should directly provide basic needs. And here in Toronto, under Mayor Olivia Chow, we're starting to see echoes of that thinking. City Council exploring expanded food programs, deeper subsidies, and a bigger role for government in everyday life. So what are we really building here? A stronger safety net, or a system where government becomes the default provider of survival? Because once you normalize free access to essentials like food, you're not just helping people get by, you're redefining what a city is responsible for. And that's a conversation Canada is just starting to have.
Next thing he had, which we spent a lot of time pre-show on, city-owned grocery stores. Right? Sounds like a wild concept, doesn't it?
I just don't trust the city to run anything that well, of any city.
Yeah.
It's been my experience that the city can do certain things like, mow the soccer fields and plow the roads and pick up the garbage. And now they even outsource that.
They actually can't really do that themselves.
So I don't quite trust them to run a grocery store.
They will outsource it, Paul. Mark our words on this one.
No, but they want to sell wholesale foods.
Yeah.
And their goal is to get it to people who need food and to move people, I guess, off food banks into buying food at a more reasonable price.
I don't hate this idea, to be honest with you.
I don't either.
Food banks get abused.
Tough to manage. Again, great idea.
However, food stamps was the precursor to this, right?
Oh boy, food
government cheese was another. That became a very corrupt bit of business, and it became messy to take away. It still exists in many places, but that's essentially, this is like somewhere between food bank and shopping at Walgreens, let's say, in the States. Is there a good point to having that transitional phase where you're actually being required to buy food? And will it be different than the food bank?
Or, hear me out,
wise,
can we maybe put rules in place where the companies own the grocery stores aren't marking up items to ridiculous profit margins? So basic items, butter, milk, bread, eggs, are sold at a reasonable price. We just had a bread lawsuit in Canada.
Price fixing over bread. Can you imagine?
Over bread.
People think Canadians are boring.
So maybe just say the 5 or 6 staple items are sold at a reasonable price. That could help.
Yeah, it is a good idea. And, we had commissions. We had committees, commissions. We have a charter now, which really doesn't help.
They do nothing.
It doesn't stop them from selling stuff at expensive prices.
And having the most profit in the last 10 years this year.
Crazy profit. So, and we really, now with alcohol going to grocery stores and pharmacies and everything else, we've loaded up these companies really with the ability to be non-competitive for new entrants. So now they're too big. They're too big now.
So okay, say you put in a government grocery store. How do they compete? When you go to the one store and there's the food, there's your wine and beer, there's your pharmacy. I got everything in one store.
They will compete. So this is interesting. And we had this conversation at home the other day. It's interesting how we're starting to shop. And I think it reminds me of back when I was in my 30s. We used to go from grocery store to grocery store or store to store, depend on what we were buying. So we bought our vegetables here, our meat here.
Right.
So we're back to that again. Yeah. So as we move around in a week, we're like, okay, let's go there because it's got the freshest meat at the best price. Let's go here because the vegetables are good and it's reasonable. And so we kind of have that route we do in the week where we hit different stores now. So I think where our grocery stores here in Canada right now, the pseudo monopolies we've given them, I think where they've overplayed their hand a little is people are going to go back to that model. So and the more they push it, the more they keep not adjusting the prices to be reasonable. I think it forces people down. So the wholesale government run grocery stores, you will get people in New York who will, along their path will go there and get their canned goods, or they'll get their whatever.
Yeah.
I think it would. I think conceptually it's an interesting idea. Putting it in practical, I think it has its flaws, and I think it'll end up just being as corrupt as food stamps were. So I don't think I don't think at the end of the day,
and that's my issue is in theory, like I agree with everyone here. Yeah. Oh, but you have to at the execution, so you don't have that corruption. It sounds very difficult.
Yeah, and then you have to get the distribution. How do you figure out shelving?
Who's allowed to use it?
Yeah, shelving space.
Yeah,
who's
how do you
allowed to use
determine?
it?
Yeah, who's eligible to use it?
Right.
Well, I think everyone is in his. What he's saying in his.
Everyone in New York.
Yeah, everyone. It's basically it grows. They'll be gigantic at the end of them because, quite frankly,
They will be the next Costco's.
Now, and does that actually put the other grocers out of business? I don't know. I don't know what the consequence.
You know what it's going to do? It's going to take the availability of product in those stores that's similar to or there's going to be new products created that are made specifically for that government grocery scenario. And I don't think that you'll find less of those products available in the stores that you shop in now. So if it's the canned goods, maybe it won't have the same selection.
Yeah.
Or they're just going to adapt and lose a little bit of profit.
Yeah. Well, but it's interesting. This one was kind of when I heard it, I'm like, oh no, forget that's a terrible idea.
Patriotic means looking out for each other and fixing things together.
True patriotism is being in the country you love, surrounded by people you love, and great weather.
Being a patriot is being a part of your community and caring for it.
It doesn't matter who you are or where you're from. Patriotism is the one thing we all share.
It's okay to be critical of government and still be a patriot.
It's gratitude to your country.
Of course I'm a patriot. I'm Canadian. It's my home.
Well, actually, true patriot love is the mission.